told you a couple of weeks back that this is just the tip of the iceberg in this fraud investigation. And as it spreads out,
all of this coming on the heels of TSA finding not just a little bit of money in a suitcase. Here's John Solomon with more.
It was literally a foreign ATM taking cash out of the United States to foreign destinations, and we don't know the reason why. But that is now under investigation by the FBI and HSI. And people say, well, is this normal? I mean, maybe this goes on at every airport. We got comparative statistics yesterday. The amount of money that these Somali couriers took out of the Minneapolis airport with the TSA flagging it daily was 99 times larger than all the cash that was declared in luggage going out of New York's JFK International Airport, one of the busiest international airports in America. 99 times more than what flies out of Dallas. 90% more. 90% more than what was flown out of Seattle, which is the most common airport for people to go to Asia from. This was an abnormally high amount of cash being stuffed in the luggage, being detected every day by the TSA. Because, by the way, the couriers they declared the money. They literally would say, yeah, we got $1 million in our suitcase, which you have to do to get it through the airport. And nobody in the Biden administration thought it was unusual that $1 million of cash was moving in luggage out of the country, out of Minneapolis every day, way more than any other airport in America at the time.
And the further we get into this, the more and more shocking it becomes. How many times do you think this was flagged by TSA previous to everything going on? Because there's videos that go back a month at least where fraud is being brought up, it's being dismissed, especially by Ilhan Omar. Take a listen to an interview she did a month ago.
But there's another thread here, because House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary just now talked about a link to terrorism, a possible link. He said they're just now beginning to look into it. How confident are you that that's a false claim?
I'm pretty confident at the moment because there are people who have been prosecuted and who have been sentenced. If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI and our court system in not figuring that out. And
seems like she really enjoys going on Face the Nation as she goes on it regularly, talking about Somalia, fraud, and everything else. Now, she is pro-Islam, and so it doesn't surprise me that we don't hear anything coming from her as hundreds of Iranians at this point have been murdered. She also doesn't seem to do well under pressure. Watch as she comes under fire in this interview.
First of all, federal prosecutors say 59 people have been investigated in these schemes so far. Americans at large stole tens of billions of forms of aid during the pandemic all over the country. Minnesota's fraud scandal stands out, according to federal auditors. What are you hearing from investigators right now?
well, I've been following the cases closely as they've gone through the courts, and we know that there are more indictments possibly coming. I think that number might go up to 73 is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, you know, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
It's really hard to come up with a real answer to a question when you're trying to defend your people. Throwing in COVID as the obvious play, because a lot of people can't really defend what happened during COVID because it happened so quickly, and a lot of fraud really did take place during COVID. Deflection is one of the biggest ways to get out of a situation. I think she deflected very well there, but the interview does go on to get a little harder for her. Take a listen. It actually doesn't get any harder for her. That's really where it ends. So you have Ilhan Omar now defending the Somalians who put her into office. We all understand that at this point. I think if you don't, you have to go back and look at everything that happened. Not only was she voted in, but Jacob Fry was voted in as well. And even potentially Tim Walz. So when you have these three, and then you have others who are also a part of the whole coalition going on in Minnesota, you end up getting responses like this. Take a listen.
My name is Mohammed. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Somali community in Lewiston. Some of you sitting here today, we voted for you. We elected you to protect our community interests, not creating division or go after one elected member from our community. This narrative, if this narrative continues, our community will be forced to re-examine our relationship or political relationship, including our relationship with the Democratic Party and who will be voting in the future. This is not a threat.
This is not a threat. It's just a fact. I'm stating a fact. I'm not trying to threaten you. What I'm telling you is, if you don't fix the problem, Somalis are going to find somebody else to vote for. That's what's happening. And to have something like that come straight out and be placed into social media, placed in the news, should tell you a lot about what's going on in Minnesota. Clearly, they are going through a massive issue with fraud. They're going through a massive issue with immigration, as a large majority of the Minnesota and Minneapolis populations are in fact Somalis. I'm going to kick it over to another fellow Brandon Gill out of Texas, who absolutely demolishes the Oversight Committee, talking about Minnesota fraud. Take a listen.
And Chair recognizes Mr. Gill from Texas for the first question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for holding this hearing so expeditiously. We all know this is an important issue, not just in terms of welfare fraud, but also immigration more broadly. So we appreciate it. And thank you for the witnesses for taking the time to come here. I want to start with you, Mr. Balu. Again, thank you for being here. Let me ask you, does large-scale Somali immigration make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Certainly stronger.
Certainly stronger. Do you know what percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on food stamps?
No.
54%. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Well, to be clear, a majority of the...
It's 7%. There's a big difference between 54% and 7%, is there not?
Excuse me, sir, could I answer the question?
Let me move on. We've got a lot of questions here. What percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on Medicaid?
I don't know.
It's 73%. Do you know what that number is for Minnesota native households?
Again, you're using the phrase Minnesota native households, but the majority...
The number is 18%.
In case you were confused about the questioning and being a Minnesota native, the correct answer, or the simple answer here, is Americans. Minnesota Americans. That's what he was referencing. Let's get back to it.
Move on. We've got a lot of questions here. What percentage of Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on Medicaid?
I don't know.
It's 73%. Do you know what that number is for Minnesota native households?
Again, you're using the phrase Minnesota native households, but the majority...
The number is 18%. That's quite an astounding difference. I think we would agree.
Can I answer the question, please?
Let me ask you one more, and then we can go on to that. What percentage of Somali-headed households are on welfare in general?
I don't know.
It's 81%. What about... let me just ask you, after 10 years of being in the United States, what percentage of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare?
I don't know.
The number is 78%. So even after 10 years, 78% of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Again, you're using
non-Somali immigrant-headed households.
If I can just answer the question, when you're using the phrase native Minnesotans, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are as Minnesotan as any of us. They were born in the United States. It's only 8,000 of the 108,000 Somali.
Nevertheless, the welfare usage is astoundingly different. Let me ask you again, does that make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Again, I'd like the opportunity to answer the question here.
Go for it.
Again, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are born in the United States, as I understand it.
Okay, well, what percentage of working age Somalians who have been in the U.S. for 10 years or more, how many of them speak English very well?
I don't know.
About half.
Half of Somalians that have been here for 10 years or more speak English very well. That's an alarming number. You've been in a country for that long. there's got to be an assimilation process. You have to know the native language of where you're living. If I picked up and I moved to another country that English was not the first language, it would be expected of me to learn that language. Why do we not hold the same standard in America? Let's talk about it in the comments.
The answer is about half. That seems pretty low, doesn't it?
Again, I keep trying
It doesn't sound like something that makes our country stronger to me, and I think most Americans would agree with me on that. I need to move on. Ms. Robbins, when would you say we concretely knew that widespread welfare fraud was occurring in Minnesota?
There have been reports since 2009 from the Office of Legislative Auditor. I would say the credible reports on childcare fraud started surfacing 2011 to 2013.
So for over a decade.
And finally, you have somebody who can physically answer a question other than the one that tries to defend the amount of actual native-born Somalis there are. That's all that guy really knew. Whether the answer is correct or not, who cares? He couldn't answer a single question. He had no idea what the demographics were as far as who was using what systems. That's alarming. That allows widespread fraud. Now we're going to get into the actual answer portion for the questions coming from Mr. Gill.
Yes, sir.
When do you think Governor Walz knew about this fraud?
From the very beginning. He was running for governor in 2018 when there were prosecutions going on, when there was an OLA report, active cases in the news all the time.
And what was the Walz administration's response?
They actually did nothing when they got into office, and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan had been on the committee in the legislature that had hearings on child care fraud, and when they got into office, they did put $5 million into a little more money, but nothing changed.
But nothing. And let me ask you, Mr. Hudson, thank you for being here. Did those who commit this fraud, do they typically vote for Republicans or Democrats, in your opinion?
In my opinion, thank you for qualifying it like that, I would say they most definitely overwhelmingly vote for Democrats.
Do they typically donate to Republicans or Democrats?
Not to my knowledge. They
don't
donate to Republicans, they donate to Democrats, in my opinion, yes.
Got it. So would you say this is the Somali population is an important demographic for Democrats to win over politically?
Unquestionably.
Got it. And do you think it would have hurt Democrats' political standing with the Somali population to investigate this fraud?
Very clearly.
Got it. So in other words, you're saying that there was a political incentive to cover up widespread Somali fraud. Is that right?
100%.
Got it. Let me ask all three of you. Did the Walz administration and Democrats intentionally, in your opinion, overlook this fraud while it was happening?
What do you guys think? Did Tim Walz, did Jacob Fry, did Ilhan Omar overlook all the fraud going on? Was it a part of the deal made in order to get them elected into their respective areas? Did they look beyond it? They obviously didn't do anything to mitigate it. So were they complicit? Did they have a hand? Did they receive contributions from the Somali population in political funds? Is that how they participated in this fraud? Let's hear what these three have to say about it.
Political gain. I'll start with you, Ms. Robbins.
Absolutely. We have credible whistleblower reports that the Department of Human Services administration up to the OIG and the commissioner met with a group called the Minnesota Minority Child Care Association multiple times, and that they were trying to weaken protections. We wanted, we had several changes we wanted to do, and they opposed all of them.
And Mr. Hudson and Ms. Rarick, and then my time is up.
I would agree.
Absolutely. The whistleblowers confirm it.
Got it. Thank you.
The whistleblowers confirm it. They were silenced by Tim Walz and his administration, as well as probably Ilhan Omar and Lord knows who else. What's going to happen from here, though, is the big question. We already have Tim Walz. He is not running for re-election, thank God. I think he's going to spare a lot of people. But what about Jacob Fry? He was just recently elected in. He's the bad dancer. What about Ilhan Omar? There's a lot of things going on. Did she go and expose herself too much Is she facing deportation? Well, that's it for this one. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss anything going on, and we will see you in the next one.